Okay, so the Sens kind of had a bit of a down game yesterday, let's be honest. After a good stretch of games they've been playing, they had a 2-0 lead in the third period. They blew it to Montreal, and they just didn't really seem like the team that we've been watching the last few weeks here. Lineup notes in this one: Philip Gustafson in the nets, Alex Formenton out of the lineup because for precautionary reasons due to COVID, and Michael Amadio would come in and take his place. Anton Forsberg, I believe, was going to start this game, but his son woke up with a fever, unfortunately, I think a couple days ago, and also he was out for precautionary reasons due to COVID as well. So, all that aside, let's get into the game now. And there'd be no scoring in that first period, and I thought it was a very solid period for the Ottawa Senators. I thought they were the better team. They controlled the puck more. They had more chances against Montreal. The Habs had a little bit of zone time too. I didn't think Ottawa dominated that period, but I think it was clear that they were the better team. Second period, the Habs came out with a little bit more zip, and they were kind of moving it around well. Ottawa found their legs again later on as that second period went on, and that would lead to Tim Stützle scoring his 9th of the season, assisted by Zub and White. And for Stützle, it's nice to see him score some goals. He's been putting up some assists. He's actually been a little bit quiet even as far as putting up any type of points these last few weeks. So hopefully he can kind of start heating up here before the season ends. And it's nice to see him get a goal. It was a nice shot too. I believe it ramped off a Montreal defender's stick and went in. I believe it was Romanov. And Stützle, though, still nice shot. Scores on Caden Primo, who was in net for Montreal on this one. It's 1-0 Ottawa. I want to backtrack a little bit before the Stützle goal because Josh Norris gets into his first career NHL fight against the aforementioned Alexander Romanov. And Romanov, he hit him pretty good there. Norris got up. He didn't really look like he was going to fight him. He looked like he wanted to have a word with him because that was a bit of a borderline dirty hit by Romanov. I think Norris already released the puck for a little while at that point. He still followed through with the hit. I can see why Norris was ticked off at him. And Romanov grabs Norris. Norris is like, okay, well, I guess it's on. We're going to fight. And Josh Norris did pretty darn well for himself in that fight. I definitely give the decision to him. And I'm not even saying it out of a bias camp here. I'm saying it because I actually think that. And Norris, he was kind of pointing at Romanov's nose, who had a little bit of blood on it in the penalty box, like, more or less, hey, how does that feel? So I just wanted to throw that, and I thought that was pretty interesting about Norris getting into his first NHL fight. We go to the third period. Ottawa's leading 1-0. They're still playing pretty good. They're skating well. They're clogging up the neutral zone, and that would lead to Thomas Chabot scoring his 6th of the season, his second in as many games, assisted by Dadonov and Shane Pinto. Shane Pinto's been putting up a few points here during his short NHL career so far. And Chabot, he scores, so it's 2-0 now Ottawa at this point. It's looking like they're on the way to another victory. Shortly after that, Jeff Petrie would say, hey, not so fast, as he would score his 12th of the season, assisted by Tyler Toffoli. The Habs are back in it, and after that Petrie goal, things really turned in favor of Montreal, and you could feel the momentum really swing on their side. And then the Habs would get a power play. Shane Pinto trips up Arturi Lehkonen. Pinto didn't like the call. Wasn't very big on it either. I mean, I'm never big on it when an Ottawa Senator player goes to the penalty box, whether the call is right or wrong, obviously because you don't want to see your team shorthanded. But I thought Lehkonen, he might have dived. Lehkonen's a bit of a diver too. He's got a history. There's a reputation there, in my opinion anyways. That's how I view him. Don't get me wrong, Lehkonen's a good, hard, honest working player, but he's good for the occasional dive every now and then as well. But all that aside, so he goes to the box, Pinto does, and the Habs get a power play, obviously, and they appear to score. I believe Nick Suzuki appears to score. DJ Smith, he decides to challenge it. It looks like there's a bit of goalie interference there. Corey Perry in the crease, and now Perry. Speaking of guys who have a reputation, this guy has a reputation of, he's not a very nice guy to the goalies, he kind of gets in their grill, kind of got into Gustafson's grill here. Gustafson might have sold it a little bit, let's be honest here. He kind of spun around on his own accord. Nonetheless, Perry did have his skate in the crease, and he was kind of right on Gustafson. I don't know if Gustafson would have had the ability to make the save, whether he sold it or not anyways. So the refs, they call it no goal. It's still 2-1. The Sens do end up killing off that penalty, and it looks like they get out of dodge, and maybe momentum will swing back on their side. Momentum would not swing back on Ottawa's side. It would stay on Montreal's side. as the Habs would get another power play, and Tyler Toffoli would cash in on this one. This one counts, his 27th of the year. I didn't realize how great of a season. Well, I knew he was having a good season, a really good one, Toffoli, but I didn't realize he was already at 27 goals. He's got more goals than Ovechkin, and I know Ovechkin's been out with an injury here a little bit, but my goodness, that's still remarkable for Toffoli, a guy who's always been maybe a 20 to 25 goal scorer, a 50-ish point guy, and he's having a real great year in Montreal. What a move by Marc Bergevin and the Habs. That one was assisted by Suzuki and Perry, so the Habs do end up getting their game-tying goal on the power play nonetheless. So we go to overtime, tied at 2. That would be it for regulation, and the Sens, they were terrible in that third period. I thought the first, let me put it this way. After the Sens got their second goal, I found Montreal started to come on. Ottawa, they looked a little bit like a young team in that third period after the 2-0 goal. It just goes to show you can't take your foot off the gas no matter what. Because for me, the Sens, they went from playing a game where we were like, oh man, they could have deserved a better fate had they kept playing like they did in the first 2 periods and say they still somehow blew the lead, let's say, even though they were playing well. But that third period alone, getting outshot 18-3, I don't know. They didn't really deserve to win this one after a period like that in my eyes. So in overtime, now you will really know why the title is what it is of this video, Brady the Tank. Also, it's inspired because of his recent, Frank the Tank celebrations he's been doing here of late. They go to overtime here. The Sens star Tkachuk, Norris, and Chabot. Those guys are out there for a while. Tkachuk actually turned the puck over. He forced a Hab player into a turnover. He sends it back to Chabot. He's already been out there for a minute 10 at this point, I believe. And instead of changing like his other line mates did, he goes up ice looking for offense. And Brady Tkachuk, I find there's times he just tries to do too much, in my opinion. And I know it's out of a good place in his heart, like he's not meaning harm, obviously, for the team that he plays on. But he just tries to do too much sometimes, and it ends up costing the team, I find. So he goes up ice looking for a long bomb pass. I believe he gets it. The Habs turn it over on him. They get the puck again. They get all their fresh guys out there. Brandstrom and Stützle do hop onto the ice in place of Norris and Chabot, I should say. Tkachuk's the only guy out there from the original group. What happens? He's still out there for the whole overtime that was played. His legs gotta feel like rubber. Jeff Petrie, a fresh Jeff Petrie, gets the puck, walks right around Tkachuk. No surprise there, because when your legs feel like rubber, there's not a whole lot of movement you can do with them if you're Brady Tkachuk. He sends it across the ice to Cole Caulfield, who scores his first NHL goal. A really good goal for the Habs. Poor decision making by the Sens. Jeff Petrie, obviously, and Jake Evans pick up assists on that one. And the reason why I call this video Brady the Tank is because, like I said, the Frank the Tank celebrations, but also with him staying out there, you could kind of, start some kind of a theory saying, oh, well, I think he was trying to help the team tank, maybe that's why. But of course he wasn't trying to do that. I'm just trying to have fun with the title here. I thought it was funny. I couldn't pass it up after seeing that. I also want to mention, with the Sens losing this game, they are now officially mathematically eliminated. I mean, I think we kind of knew they were eliminated from the playoffs a while before this. And they were kind of asking DJ Smith and Thomas Chabot some dumb questions in the post-game interviews, like, the one dumb question was, now that there's only 5 games left and you guys are mathematically eliminated, how do you stay focused here? And DJ Smith was kind of like, well, I mean, we're mathematically eliminated now, but we've been out for a while here. And the Sens, to be honest, they've more than maintained their focus for a team that's been out of the playoffs. The Habs, up until last night, the Habs did want that game more in the third period. You can tell. It's hard to blame Ottawa. It's just hard to manufacture that same drive and compete when you aren't in a playoff race like Montreal is. And for the Sens, not only are they a young team that made some young mistakes in that third period, but let's be honest, it is tough to manufacture that same passion, that same drive to push yourself over the top if you're a team like Ottawa that's way out of the playoffs here and really has nothing to play for other than playing for each other and maybe pad the stats a little bit and just play for pride at this point. So now that the Sens lost, maybe Monday night we see Jacob Bernard-Docker finally jump back into the lineup in place of Josh Brown. Josh Brown has to be the guy you take out. I thought Victor Mete played really good. Brandstrom, he had a bit of a tough night last night, but you can't take him out of the lineup. You got to develop this guy. You got to give him every opportunity to succeed right now while the games don't mean anything in the standings, so he can get some confidence and hopefully carry confidence into next year. Remember, team momentum does not carry into next year, but I think as far as team confidence goes, or individual confidence anyways, it does carry over into a following season. If Brandstrom has a really good 5 games here, he can feel really confident about himself jumping into next year, and hopefully he'll be a much better player. He's been playing good, but hopefully he can get to that next level of being great, because that's the guy that Ottawa traded for. And he can be a great player for Ottawa hopefully next year going forward. So those are my thoughts on this video, guys, and about the Sens and their somewhat lackluster third period, to say the least. But we'll see if they bounce back against a desperate Winnipeg team. The Jets have lost 6 straight, by the way. I don't know how many people are aware of that. But yeah, it's been a rough go for Winnipeg. So let me know all that and more in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.